Greetings from Rick and Rebecca, a.k.a. Becky, on this week's Jesus, Jeep, and Java. This week's installment is going to be a little bit different. We welcome you to the channel. But this week, we're going to do a combination of R&R Off the Beaten Path and Jesus, Jeep, and Jesus. I want to encourage you to stick around to the end because it's also going to include some applicable help in overcoming challenges and some beginner's tips for off-roading and off-road etiquette. So welcome to R&R Off the Beaten Path and this combination with Jesus, Jeep, and Java. As we step into this new week, we start our journey today with a trip to Viking Mountain. We're going to end it by coming back down and driving around Greene Mountain Road to come back out into another section of the Greene County area, the 107. But we started our trip today in the little parking area not far after you get started up on the Viking Mountain Road. There's a little place called the Dillard Place. And there are 3 ponds here. It's actually part of the National Forest. It was donated by the Dillard family. And here on this sign you can see they remind you, be bear aware. And the bears here don't always hibernate completely through the winter and cold months. They slow down some, but always have to be bear aware. Anyway, the Dillard Place is a beautiful spot. There are 3 ponds here. There's a creek that runs on the back of these ponds that feed the ponds. There's Rebecca, alias Becky, carrying our lunchbox because we stopped here today to have just a brief picnic lunch. We were able to enjoy that, and we also walked around the ponds. It was a little bit cool. Wind was blowing some, but it was in the 50s. But amazingly, even though there was a senior couple there fishing when we first arrived, one of the ponds here at the Dillard Place was still frozen. You'll be able to see here the reflection of the sun on the ice here in the water. The edges were beginning to thaw pretty good, but you could still see quite a bit of ice actually on this pond. It's a great little place to walk around and just enjoy the beauty, the serenity, and the quietness of this beautiful spot of God's creation. And so as we step into this episode of Jesus, Jeep, and Java, I hope God's love uniquely inspires your actions, and I hope His presence fills you with His peace. Let me encourage you to trust in His promises and bask in His radiant light as you go about your journey and adventures this week. Have you ever faced a challenge or an obstacle while out on one of your adventures? Ever wonder whether you should attempt to tackle it or could tackle it? Well, Rebecca and I ran into some situations this week on our adventure that caused us to think about overcoming challenges on our adventures, and it also caused me to think about how we face and overcome challenges in life. Here's this sign of the gift of the Dillard Place, dedicated May 30th, 2003. And it's simply, this magnificent tract of land was donated to the people of the United States of America for their perpetual use and enjoyment by Peter Dillard in honor of Edward Dillard and his family. So take a moment and look at that sign, and if you're ever in that area, be sure to stop in and enjoy a little picnic in this beautifully scenic area of the Dillard Place. The scenery as you go up the mountain is incredibly beautiful, but it's not going to be long until we are going to run into some very icy roads. In fact, The road was so icy that some of the people who were going up ahead of us ran into some difficulty. But the scenery here at what I call the switchback is just beautiful. You could seem like you could just see forever and ever and ever as the mountains just seem to keep going on and on and on. But we did run into snow right after the switchback, and we began to see places where the banks were still covered in snow, and then in the shaded areas close to the top of the mountain, we began to see where the actual road was still icy. And the further up we got, the icier it got. Saw some frozen waterfalls, some areas where water was coming off the rocks. It was just beautiful. A great day for this little adventure. But, man, some challenges. These slick roads created a little bit of sketchiness, if you know what I mean. But the Jeep did an excellent job. We did, however, run into a couple of young ladies who were in a small little black SUV that got stuck and had to turn around and make their way back down the mountain. And they shared with us about their problems here. And we talked to them just a moment, encouraged them to continue their journey safely. And they said that because of our Jeep, they thought we would be able to make it. And sure enough, we were able to overcome the challenges of this slick road. But have you ever thought about how we find purpose in the challenges and the obstacles that come our way? You know, when we find an obstacle or a challenge as we're on our journeys in our Jeep, we take a great deal of pride in looking and choosing the right line and choosing the right track so that we can overcome that challenge. Well, James chapter 1, verses 2 and 3 advises us to consider it pure joy when we face trials, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. You know, challenges are not just obstacles. They, in fact, can be divine instruments. They shape our faith. They forge a resilience. They test us in our determination and persistence. And through them, we develop patience, and we deepen our reliance on God, and we can discover new God-given purposes and talents and abilities along the way, things we may not have even realized that we had. And just as when we are faced with obstacles and challenges on the trail, we have to trust our ability and our rig to be able to overcome it. And the more we practice driving our rigs in different situations, the more we come to trust in its ability and in our ability. We learn to discern the right line to travel and what our true ability is. And so what the rig is capable of. It's called discernment. And discernment comes with experience, no doubt. Reflecting on the gift of discernment, God has bestowed upon us. You know, He has given us His Spirit to guide us in wisdom, to help us to make choices and to align ourselves with His will. If you would, just kind of think about some times when His guidance gave you clarity and let you build experience and confidence in His wise counsel and in His Word. Now, when David was faced with the giant of an obstacle called Goliath, he thought back on how God had helped him overcome the challenges of the lion and the bear. Our past experiences can help us trust the Lord to help us through the new challenges and obstacles that we face. Becky and I have been up Viking Mountain before in snowy conditions, in fact in much colder and much snowier conditions than these. In fact, just about a year or so ago, this was the actual trip that sparked the flame in Becky to become part of the R&R Off the Beaten Path. We had such a good time that day in our white Chevrolet pickup that we came back. We've been talking about a Jeep for a while, and so we decided to go ahead and bite the bullet and buy a Jeep. And so we bought our 2015 Tank Greene Sahara, and we called her Tank for a while, but now we call her Therapy because she is our mountain therapy. But just like our vehicle gives us confidence, God gives us confidence, and He guides us just like a spotter can guide us along the path. God and His Word guides us on the right path and helps us choose the right line to travel in the journey we call life. Psalm 16 verse 11 assures us that He, being God, you make known to me the path of life. You will fill me with joy in your presence. It's profound how God's presence in there is our ultimate source of true joy. And by immersing ourselves in His presence, we find the purpose, contentment, and confidence that the world just simply cannot provide. And so as His Spirit illuminates our path and His Word directs us, His joy then envelops our soul. Remember, God loves you. He made you as unique as we make our rigs. That's one thing about Jeeps. My son-in-law says they're adult erector sets. You can just keep adding to it in the building and taking away. But just keep that in mind. And then Psalm 139 verse 14 says, I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. We are each uniquely created by God. And that is a powerful reminder of His infinite love and care for us. In moments of doubt, in facing challenges, remember that you are crafted with His purpose in mind, and we are reflecting His intricate handiwork. As we travel on up to the tip-top of Viking Mountains, and we actually see some girls up here in a Toyota 4Runner, as they're enjoying the scenery just as we are. But while we're up here, I'm going to have just a moment of prayer with you. Heavenly Father, I ask that you would grant us strength and patience as we face the challenges along this journey we call life. Fill us with your love and compassion so that we may not only be strengthened ourselves, but Lord, that we might serve others and share your joy and humility with them. And may our lives bring honor to your name. We ask this in Jesus' name, and amen. Isn't God's creation just beautiful? By having a four-wheel drive and being able to get out off the beaten path, we see things and experience places that most people will never get to see. The last time Becky and I were on this mountain, we parked in that exact same spot with our white Chevrolet 2006 Silverado extended cab four-wheel drive pickup. And today, we have our Tank Greene Sahara 2015 model Jeep sitting here, taking us on this adventure. And we have really enjoyed this Jeep and look forward to great things ahead. Now, as we're getting ready to take our run back down the mountain, I want to give some beginner tips and some off-road etiquette, because we're going to see some folks who are facing some challenges coming up the mountain as we're going down the mountain. And despite what some people think, we four-wheelers, we really are a pretty considerate group of people when we're off-road. And I want to encourage you, when you do go off-roading, that you stay on the trail that's marked, that you look out for others, that you obey the rules, and that you clean up after yourself. If you take it in, take it out, save it in a trash can in your vehicle till you get to a place where you can throw it in a receptacle at the station or back at home. And I'm sure you are responsible drivers, but even so, it's good to review some trail etiquette from time to time. So I'm going to just share with you 10 rules of etiquette and tips for off-roading and camping. If any of these are unfamiliar to you, I doubt they are, but if they are, let us know which ones meant the most to you. If this video has meant anything to you, be sure and hit the thumbs up and subscribe. And hit the notification bell, and you can see the next time that we post and every time thereafter, so that you don't miss anything. But we can all stand to brush up on these principles of off-roading. So here we go. Here's the first one. Always be considerate. That's kind of an off-roading principle in life, and it deserves some special mention. So as you encounter others, friends, or strangers, be considerate. Maybe you don't feel like going out of your way for someone, and that's okay, but be respectful. Avoid the temptation to be an off-road bully or Karen. There are enough of those in the world as there already are. You'll notice in the front up here, I don't know if you can see it yet or not, but there's a Jeep coming up that is struggling to make it. In fact, they have stopped, and both of them are out of the vehicle. And interestingly, the young lady does not get back in the vehicle. She leaves him with trying to maneuver up the trail himself. We're trying to find a place to get off the side or stop in order to allow him to pass, because the right-of-way in these situations belongs, first of all, to mountain bikes, horses, and hikers. But you always yield to the vehicle that's coming uphill, because that vehicle may need to maintain its momentum to climb. And if we force them to stop, they may need to back up again in order to gain momentum. His problem is he had already stopped, and now he can't get started again. He slides in his attempt to accelerate, and so I've gotten stopped, and I actually put my Jeep in reverse, and we begin to back up so that we can back up out of his way to allow him the opportunity to come on up. He tries a few times and is unsuccessful, and so he decides then that he's going to try to back down so far. And I'm backing up, and I continue to back up in hopes that he will pull on up until the Toyota with the 3 young ladies in it comes in behind me. And I can no longer back up because they're unable to back up, and I have to stop. So now we're looking for some way for us to get space for us to pass. But again, number 2, not only be considerate, but yield right-of-way to mountain bikes, horses, and hikers. They can't compete with our vehicles, so slow down as you approach them. Give them some space. Avoid kicking up unnecessary dust or honking your horn and such things as that, because that can scare the animal. And we want to really make a good impression. So offer a bottle of water, offer some gas if someone is stranded, a helping hand when needed, and you'll feel better for yourself in doing that. And so this fella has now backed up. Now he's starting back up. We're looking for a wide place to get off the road. You see he's sliding again. He's unable to continue to progress up the hill at this point. So my wife and I and the young ladies in the Tacoma behind me or the forerunner rather, behind me, decide we're going to start trying to find the right spot in the road, and it takes us a little while to do so. He's continuing to back up, and so we're just kind of waiting on him and giving him as much space as we can in order for him to be able to get uphill. And so that's the third thing, is to yield to the vehicles driving uphill, which we've already talked about. Here's the fourth one. Keep track of the vehicle behind you. I was backing up to get out of this young man's way, and if I hadn't been paying attention to the fact that I knew somebody was going to be coming down that hill behind me very shortly, I might have gotten into more trouble, and I might have created a problem for those young ladies. But I saw them coming around the bend a good piece back, so I was able to get stopped and allow them to stop in a safe distance. If you come to an intersection when you're out wheeling, always, if you're at an intersection or a big curve, make sure that the vehicle behind you sees which way you're going and what's going on. Don't assume that they do that, because they might be in dust. There could be brush in the way, trees in the way, limbs in the way that they might not see. So don't assume that they know where you were going, especially if you go through an intersection, turn off, or something of that nature. Keep track of those who are behind you. Keep them kind of in your rearview mirror. Other vehicles should try to keep up as well. However, you don't want to get so close that you're having to eat each other's dust. Sorry about that, because that's no fun. And so if you go through something difficult as well, give each person time, and be sure to look back and make sure everyone makes it through. And number 5 in this situation is closely observe the vehicles that are ahead of you. This will help you pick the proper line. It helps you to negotiate the rough spot. It also enables you to see where you need to make adjustments and maybe move out of the way. It also means keeping a proper distance. If you're too close, you could find yourself in the dust cloud, or you could find yourself in more serious trouble. So you always want to make sure that the other vehicle isn't in your blind spot. And if you need to, back off until you are at a proper distance. The ability to see the rear differential is always a good starting point as you're maneuvering through trails. Where there are multiple obstacles, drop back further to get a better perspective, and this will also give you more time to think about your own strategy and what you need to do. Now you can see we are in a wide spot, and I've stopped to try to allow this young man time to make adjustments and try to come on through, but he continues to back on down the trail. He slides a few more times, and the forerunner and I just progressively, as we give him space, progressively make our way further down. And that's what you have to do. You have to constantly be scanning the trail in front of you and behind you, so that you have signs for problems that could be coming up. You're looking at a vehicle in front of you sometimes because you may be looking for signs of leakage under that vehicle that they may not have noticed, or a part may have fallen off they may not have noticed. You may be able to alert them of that. You may be able to warn someone behind you of the difficulty of an obstacle or of a workaround. So keep that in mind. Also, when you're stopped on the trail, pull completely off the trail. Don't make new spots. But if you're going to stop on the trail, try to get off as far as you can, because you may not be the only person on the trail. Someone may overtake you or come up out of a different direction. And so when you pull off, pick a spot that's already been disturbed. Try not to park on the tall grass or dry grass, especially because catalytic converters can start fires. But try to give room for others to get by. Here we are again, stopped off the side of the road, trying to see what this young man is going to do. He actually, again, starts to back up, and he's going to actually get into the guardrail. We're going to have to give him a little help. and then we're going to get off the road again so that he can get by us. Here's another safety tip while we're watching this unfold, another etiquette tip. Don't throw cigarette butts or any other trash out your window. Not only is that littering, but it can be a fire hazard, and it leads to closing down the things that we enjoy. Our forests and open lands suffer from several fires every year, and they suffer from all kinds of discarded trash and stuff along the way. So don't be that kind of person. Dispose of your cigarettes, dispose of your trash, as already mentioned, in the appropriate place. Dispose of those things properly and leave the trail and your camping area better than you found it. Now, if in the process of trail riding you have to have one of those potty breaks, sometimes we just have to make those stops. Here's just a little tip that oftentimes helps, and it's a reminder of which direction everyone kind of goes. If you have numerous vehicles and no cover, use kind of a dispersed arrangement. Let the vehicle stop in a staggered fashion. Everyone, a couple of vehicles apart, and then let the boys go left and the girls go right. And this process can continue as you stagger how you're parking along and people kind of spread out. That gives some sense of privacy in the trail riding where you have to stop to relieve yourself. And then, number 9, be mindful of other campers and other people on the trail. Watch how you deal with your engine. Watch how you're spinning your tires. If you're in a campsite, don't be slamming doors on your vehicle or camper, or don't be making unnecessary noise at night. And kind of along with that, we'll throw in number 10. This is kind of a special add-on, but don't play your music loud in camp. Don't have your radio turned up loud, your MP3 player turned up loud, whatever it is, or any other artificial noise makers. Look, we are out in the country, but when we go out in the country like this, we go out to experience nature. It's solitude, it's beauty, sometimes it's quietness. You don't or you shouldn't want to spoil that setting for someone else or even yourself. So we may not all agree on our music choices, so let's keep it to where it's kind of in our own frame of hearing and not over blasting everybody else. Now, if it's okay, someone brings along a guitar, banjo, what better way to enjoy a campfire than to have a sing-along, right? And that's true for the most part, though those sounds of nature are super nice, and they're oftentimes better than anything we can create. Now, this may seem like a whole lot to digest. We're kind of still waiting on this guy to determine what he's going to do and how he's going to get by. But these are a lot of rules, but these rules are just kind of based on common sense. I'm sure you've heard them before, but just kind of recommit these principles to your memory, to your thinking, especially when you're off-road driving, and you will be an even better and more responsible off-roader and off-road driver. We're going to answer him down here, and again, we're eventually going to have to help him get on by us. I get plumb over into the ditch. I don't get video of us helping him get by and get started up through here, but he is having a whole lot of difficulty. I don't know if he's a novice four-wheeler. I really don't know a whole lot about his story. I don't know if he knows a whole lot about his Jeep. It didn't have lockers, but neither does mine. And so we finally just get so far off the road into the ditch and allow him to get by, and then we all make our way on back down. Now he has finally gotten some traction, and I am off the road in the ditch. The Forerunner is off the road in the ditch behind me, and he's getting a little momentum and getting up the hill here slowly but surely. And so we're going to let him get past, and then we're going to make our way on down Viking Mountain. And then when we get to the bottom of Viking Mountain, we're going to do a brief little trail. It's actually a Forest Service road that neither Rebecca nor I had ever been on before. And so as we wrap up our adventure, we drove Greene Mountain Road out of Viking Mountain. Interestingly, this little fella, this Chevrolet, I think it was a Equinox. It was all-wheel drive, but he came right on through there without any difficulty. Did much better than the Jeep, I'm sad to say, but a lot of that is driver and experience and knowing your rig. The cameras never do justice to the degree of steepness that these trails are. This was actually kind of steep and very, very slick. Again, it was in the 50s, it was in the 40s on up here at the top, but the ice was beginning to melt. The moisture on the top of the ice made it a little slicker, but once we get around this curve, it becomes pretty smooth sailing on down to the bottom of Viking Mountain Road until we come to Greene Mountain Road. once again as we wrap up this episode of R&R Off the Beaten Path in conjunction with Jesus, Jeep, and Java. We took this little brief offshoot again on Green Mountain Road. Again, Becky and I, neither one had been on this road before, even though we've been on Viking Mountain many, many times. But the views along this road were just as impressive as those along Viking Mountain, and the road was very, very similar. So as we close out this issue of Jesus, Jeep, and Java, let me close by saying, may the Lord's joy fill your soul, and His peace calm your mind, and may His word inspire your heart, and His love guide your steps. Walk boldly in His grace, trusting His promises, and enjoy life's adventure. Overcome the obstacles that may come your way, and maybe we'll see you off the beaten path.